welcome to another episode. My name is Dean Vass. You can find me on X at hashtag Kangas, Instagram hashtag Kangaroos podcast. Tonight I am alone. Now I was supposed to have a guest tonight, but I haven't heard from any one of the boys. I'm not too sure what's happened. I know a couple of boys weren't available, but one or two others. I thought I might have been able to get it on. So I thought I'll do one anyway because otherwise it gets too much into the week, and then we forget about the performance on Sunday that happened. Thanks for tuning in. Now we are here to review the North Melbourne versus Melbourne game on Sunday, but I wouldn't mind starting with the Tristan Xerri suspension. Now, I kind of knew at the time that this was going to happen, that he was going to get 2 to 3 weeks. David Zito, who loves to throw in his two bobs in, sort of said, "Yeah, this is the impact, and yeah, he's going to get suspended." So there was a lot of pressure on it straight away, and it was, according to the AFL and everyone in the media, it was very different to the LDU elbow that he copped in the head from Ed Richards as well. I thought both cases, they are a little bit different, but both players get a concussion. And as far as I know, with the tribunal, it's based on the injury to the player. That's how they judge whether a player gets suspended. But now they're getting all these inconsistencies. The club have decided to appeal a 3-game suspension, which I think is far too harsh for what happened. Tristan Xerri was very apologetic. He went and checked on a player. I know Melbourne reacted like they always do. They seem to be the victim club, that everything seems to happen to them. They still haven't gotten over the Braden Maynard and Angus Brayshaw incident that happened a few years ago in the final. And, it was ridiculous. Like, back scored two ruck contests later, decided to go down shot, I think, and making it look like Tristan Xerri was a really dirty player when during the whole course of the game there was no incident or nothing like that. And Tristan Xerri is not a very dirty player. It was just unfortunate. You got a 3-match suspension, probably because of how Melbourne reacted. And I don't think it's going to get overturned, to be honest with you. I mean, if Paul Curtis gets 3 weeks for a legitimate tackle to Josh Sinn, then the game's lost anyway. So, the game's hopeless at the moment. It's fair to say that the tribunal don't know what they're doing, and I don't think it's going to overturn. The club are trying. That's all they can do, and we'll have to see what happens. Now, there was some talk of the Alistair Clarkson press conference after the game as well. I did hear, and I actually agree with Kane Cornes on this one. I know that's a subject that a lot of people, particularly North supporters and myself, that don't agree with what Kane Cornes said. But it was a very flat message after the game, and it coincided with the game in itself. I felt like it was a flat performance. It almost felt like a pre-season game. That first quarter, there was like 11 tackles between the two teams laid. There was hardly any pressure. I've seen a couple of times Cozzy Pickett just decided not to chase anyone within 2 or 3 metres of a player. There wasn't much in the game, and even though we were missing a couple of players, it's fair to say that, we had a real opportunity to win this game. And Melbourne coming off 5 losses in a row. And both teams look like they've got nothing to play for the rest of the year, which only means that it's going to be a long second half of the year or last several weeks for our team if they can't get themselves up. I know, these players, we can't play finals, so they're not going to care about future, first-round draft picks, not giving it to Richmond, too early or anything like that. We're pretty much locked into bottom 3, bottom 4 for the rest of the year, which is kind of what we expected. But we've got to try and at least get a couple more wins. And if you get 6.5 wins for the year, I think it's a pass mark for this football club, especially with where we've been. We've had a couple of good wins, but we'll have to wait and see how that pans out. Now, I'm doing a bit of an Alistair Clarkson saying, now at his press conference, he said it 70 times, according to Kane Cornes. He looks defeated. It's very hard to face at press conference, especially when you lose every week and you're trying to. It didn't even feel like he's selling hope. It's almost like he's going through the motions a little bit, waiting for the season to end, and then he can prepare and he can do all his recruiting and try and get players into the club for next year. So it's a bit disappointing that it's getting to this stage. I know a few people already sort of are saying that looking forward to the AFLW coming through in the next few weeks. I'll definitely have to get a couple of players on and talk about that. But sticking to the subject, it's looking bleak for the rest of the year at the moment, and just a really flat performance against Melbourne. The only time it really fired up was in the last quarter, and with the Tristan Xerri incident. Before that, it was we certainly had our opportunities, but at the end of the day, we're just not good enough. Now we'll go to selection, and it's fair to say, we are becoming our own worst enemy, not only on the field but with selection as well. I don't understand the story with selecting 4 key defenders. It's limited our options. Now, we'll talk about Will Phillips soon, but as soon as Kozzy Pickett, man, we know what he does every week. If you don't have to be a genius to watch what he does. He goes to centre square for a centre bounce to try and get the clearance. As soon as that centre bounce is done, whether it's halved or it goes out of bounds or there's a goal, or not so much a goal, there's another stoppage, then he'll go forward. And we had no other matchups. We decided to just keep Will Phillips on him for the first half, who's never played fullback in his life, let's be honest with you. He can't play there. I still didn't understand it. I would have put a key position player. It's not like Will Phillips is nimble across the ground. He can cover, he can keep up with the speed of Kozzy Pickett or anything like that. So I still would have put Toby Pink. I would have put Griffin Logue. It didn't really matter. And to leave him out on an island like that is almost setting him up to fail. And I've really felt for Will Phillips there. And it was just a little bit lucky that Kozzy Pickett didn't have his kicking boots on, that he hang on, I've just got a message come through. Sorry, that's okay. It's lucky he didn't have his kicking boots on. That, he missed a couple easy shots in that second quarter, I believe. And it probably, saved Will Phillips a little bit of embarrassment, but he tries hard. He's not. You don't do that to Will Phillips. Put a key position defender or a guy that's played defence. There's players that have played 100 plus games of AFL football. You put them in that situation. So, and it sort of limited our options in how we wanted to play. We tried to play a chip uncontested marking game as well. We left all our run with McKercher. I thought Caleb Daniel actually played quite well. It's probably a bit controversial. I thought he actually bounced back on the weekend, and Riley Hardiman. So just left those 3 to, give us the drive. And the other 4, like you've seen a couple of the goals in the first quarter. Bailey Fritsch, no one was nimble enough. Like I think we had Logue or Toby Pink or one of those players on those nimble forwards, and they just couldn't keep up with him. There was a couple easy goals. Bailey Fritsch, particularly in the first quarter, he was just too nimble. And Bailey Fritsch has been pretty average against North Melbourne the last couple of times. And if you have a proper matchup and not a 4th key position defender, considering Melbourne really only play Van Rooyen, and who's their second tall forward? They had Matthew Jefferson, skinny young kid. Doesn't show much, not yet anyway. He might be a very good player, and Jake Malcolm plays out of the square, and he kicked 5 goals as well. So very strange decision. And in saying that, we still had a chance to win. Our biggest issue is the butchering of the football, and unless we fix that, then we are going to struggle. There's no doubt about that. The turnovers we do, especially in our back half, I know McKercher does a few when he takes on too much instead of taking a little bit of a safer option. Then it's hard to defend when we do that. So it is what it is. And at the moment we don't have many options. Our injuries are Luke McDonald, Miller Bergman, Darcy Tucker. Players that play that rebounding role, or halfback or back pocket, Jackson Archer as well, I should throw in there. So that's where we seem to be getting more of our injuries. So, and Cooper Harvey has even been playing the back line of reserves because we've run out of options in there, someone that can give a bit of drive. But I will talk about Cooper Harvey soon. Let's go to the midfield. So Xerri, I know we talked about him at the start, had his colours lowered this time. Only 7 disposals, 22 hitouts, 25 CBAs in all that time, 6 tackles. He did battle hard, Maybe it was a bit of a frustration that last quarter where he went a little bit too hard at Sparrow, unfortunately. But he it was a complete contrast to the last time we played Max Gawn. And a lot of people were quite critical of Tristan Xerri. And Max Gawn is still the number one, ruckman in the competition. That's been fair to say. Ever since probably that round 2 game, he's really bounced back and turned into the player he is. And it's fair to say Melbourne, I know they got Petrarca, Cozzy Pickett. They still rely a lot on Max Gawn. And how old's Max Gawn now? He's probably about 33 years old. I think he's, it's fair to say his peak is behind him. He's still playing some very good football, but around the ground, he didn't do much. Got a very soft free kick, about 50 metres off the ball. And just on that, Melbourne had about 4 or 5 off the ball free kicks that a player was not going to mark, or it was a very incidental contact. Riley Hardiman, that deliberate out of bounds in the third quarter, towards the end of the third quarter. I mean, that was ridiculous as well. So, but we still had our opportunities, and I'm not going to dwell on that too much. I want to focus on things we do have control over. So Tristan Xerri had his colours lowered, and it looks like he'll miss the next few weeks. It's going to be interesting to see which way they go. I'd have to say CCJ is a heavy favourite. He was a late withdrawal as far as emergencies go over the weekend. There was no reserves on the weekend, so he would have to be favourite. I think the club have gone off Brent Equal and almost given up on him. He's out of contract at the end of the year. I don't think he'll get a look in. It's fair to say we probably don't need him. Taylor Gates, still very raw. Hasn't really been dominating in the reserves as well. Look, if they want to give him a game, I'm not going to hold it against them if they just want to try something different. But I'd say CCJ, they want to see what he's got. Hopefully, he gets that opportunity over the next few weeks, because we will need number one ruckman by the looks of it. But we'll see what the tribunal do. Sheezel, now he had 13 CBAs. I thought he played really well. 29 disposals, 7 scoring involvements, 4 clearances, 6 tackles. So a really good game. Playing high half forward, almost coming in as an extra midfielder, particularly at stoppages. Really liking his role at the moment. So he's starting to look like the player he was probably last year. On occasions anyway. So it's a bit hard when you're playing a poor team, but I thought he held himself really well. Tom Powell, now there's a lot of talk about him at the moment. 2 goal assists, 7 scoring involvements, 27 CBAs, 20, I think it was 27 possessions as well. I thought he actually played quite well. He'll be a better player when LDU comes into that team, and he's not the number one midfielder. So I thought he actually played really well. There's people talking about trading him. We've put too much development into Tom Powell at the moment for the last 4 or 5 years. And the value's not there for him. It was probably last year, I think there was talk that he wanted to go back to Adelaide into his contract year, and then he re-signed for another 2 years. I just don't think it's worth trading away a player of his ilk. And what do you get back? You've got to try and get back a player. Are you going to get a player that's equal value to Tom Powell? Not really. And then you put all this time and effort into him. I just think that doesn't make sense. And he's maturing a lot. I think he's had a very good year. Not a very good year, but a good year. And he's developed his game quite well. I think it would be quite silly and negligent by the club if they looked at him as trade bait. Hopefully they don't do something stupid like that, but I wouldn't put past Brady and Rawlings. This one I don't understand. Next play, Luke Parker. Now, 29 CBAs, 8 clearances, 27 disposals, 7 scoring involvements. Great game. Yeah, no issues. 4 turnovers, I think. A couple iffy handballs he did where he missed the target. But I don't understand. He's 32 years old. He's not going to be part of your next midfield group or next team that's going to be top 8 team, possibly top 6, top 4. So it's hindering the development. I don't want to hinder the development of other players. And particularly our captain, Jai Simpkins, playing high half forward. I think they could do the balance a little bit better. I know we've got a couple of players missing and they want to get a bit of experience in there, but we're not winning games anyway. You can still play Luke Parker. He's there as a mentor for the younger guys. I'd be happy for him to get 10 to 15 CBAs and play half forward. He can still play a role there. He did it quite well for Sydney last year. And, I've got no problems after the bye. Those first 2 weeks he had 1 combined centre square stoppage centre bounce attendance, and he was playing half forward. And then second half, they put him in the centre square. But since then, they've just sort of said, no, scrap that. We've got to play this guy in the centre square. Why? I don't understand. He's 32. You don't need him in there. You need him in your team, but you don't need him to be there for 29 CBAs. So I'd like to see someone else get that opportunity. I would have liked to see Finn O'Sullivan get 2 or 3 CBAs and push Luke Parker forward. But, yeah, and also we're not winning either, so we probably won't win many games going home. Simpkin, only 7 CBAs, a captain, playing a high half forward, 21 disposals, 10 scoring bombs. A lot of talk about him as well and how he's going. I think he's been okay. He did a couple really good things on the weekend. There's a couple iffy moments, but we all have them. But I would have liked to have seen him have a few more CBAs, to be honest with you, especially if you're missing players. So that's his role from now on. Generally speaking, I think he's a midfielder that can push forward. But at the moment, we're playing, because we've got too many midfielders at the club, and I hate to bring up this point week and week again, he's getting squeezed out. It's simple as that. So, it's really disappointing to see, that he's only getting 7 CBAs. And to be honest with you, if you're going to trade a midfielder out, he'd probably be the number one option, because I think there's value there for another team. And probably not getting the best out of him right now. I know he's captain, but you can find another captain. And, people will say, well, you can't do that. It'll ruin your culture. The culture's not great anyway. We're not winning most weeks. So, I wouldn't. If you're going to trade out a midfielder, I don't think they will. To be honest with you, they're not going to trade out a senior experienced pro like him, who's a good clubman, well respected by people at the club. Then, he's probably the one you look at the most, because I think there's good value there. I think someone like a West Coast would jump up and down to try and get him. So, we'll move forward to the next one. And Will Phillips, 20 disposals. I mentioned him earlier. Playing as a full-back on Cozzy Pickett, I don't understand that. Left him out on an island too many times, almost wanting to fail a little bit, but I'm not going to go there. 23 CBAs, 8 clearances, including 5 centre bounce clearances, goal assists, 8 scoring involvements. That's his role. If I was West Coast, and I've seen their midfield absolutely get slaughtered by Port Adelaide, lost the clearances by 20 plus, and it's not the first time they've done it this year at West Coast. They need a player like Will Phillips who's going to get in and under and get that football for those boys. So his best option would, he's got to leave. Like, he's going to leave, or he doesn't have to leave, but I think he will if he's if he wants to get an AFL career, because I don't think the club's going to offer him more than a year anyway. And West Coast would be a good fit for him. I think Secura would be a really good fit for him as well. Essendon, who probably need a healthy body and in another player. They're the options if you did want to stay in Melbourne, and he would get good opportunity at those clubs. So I really feel for him. There's LDU that's going to come back this week. George Wardlaw, by the sounds of it. I will talk about that soon. So he's probably going to get squeezed out this week, I would have to think. But we'll wait and see. In a forward line, Cooper Harvey playing out of the square, looks lively, leads up to the ball pretty well. Beautiful kick of the football as well. Finds space, and if the conditions were a little better and not as windy, he might have got on the end of a couple of other ones too. You could be talking about a 6 or 7 goal game. So, I really like the look of Cooper Harvey. He's got a lot of class inside that forward 50. This probably means that Zane Duursma is really going to be out of favour now. We're going to have Nick Larkey come back. So it's going to be interesting to see how those two play together. I think it can work. I think you can play one out of the square and just rotate, get one up the field. Cooper Harvey can push up the ground, can push up onto a wing as well. So, really like the look of Cooper Harvey. I mentioned in the first quarter, I said I've seen enough to suggest this guy's got to at least get another year. The club, I haven't heard anything. Obviously, waiting a few more weeks before they make a decision on his future, but you'd be pretty stupid, to develop a player for 3 years and then just, and looking good. He's looked good in the VFL, probably be right up there with the BNF, with Will Phillips as well. I think a VFL listed player will win. That will be either McPherson or Tomlinson. So because they play every week and they seem to dominate every week. So, but getting back to the topic, and I do tend to do that when I'm by myself. I go on tangents, another thing. Yeah, I really like to look at Cooper Harvey. He's a very smart footballer. A little bit of his old man in him. Very smart, reads the game really well up the field, and very good with his leading patterns. I thought Jack Darling presented quite well, kicked 3 goals. I wouldn't have rushed him back, to be honest with you. I would have liked to have seen someone else, a Finbar Melly. I know we did get subbed out. I would have liked to have seen someone else. Melly just get the full game. So I don't know. Yeah, I think Melly will come out of the team. Did get subbed out halfway through the third quarter, but I didn't understand it. You sub him out just to put on a defender up forward, Will Dawson. I guess you want to try it. I'm not going to be too critical of that. Maybe you find something. Will Dawson, he's still got a way to go. He's probably our best defender on the weekend, or key position defender, the one of the 20 that we played. So I'd like to see him stay back. It's going to be interesting. If you do drop the key position defender, which one goes out? Toby Pink has been pretty average the last few weeks after having a really hot spell. He seems to struggle against Jake Melksham. So, he's probably under a bit of pressure with Griffin Logue. Griffin Logue did some nice things, did some pretty ordinary things, just the usual Griffin Logue experience. That's what we talk about with the back line. Jacob Costanzi, now he needs to kick some goals, and that's the only thing, because he does do some good defensive things. There's no doubt about that. I really like his game. He does try hard. So, he does put good defensive pressure. I think he had 6 possessions in the first quarter, which was very good. Generally speaking, he only gets 6 to 8 or maybe 8 to 10. But he had that opportunity. I think it might have been, last quarter. He's run into an open goal just away from him a bit, and missed it quite badly. So there's things he's got to work on. There's no doubt about that. But I think the club have shown a lot of faith in him. They haven't looked at anyone else really. We've got a couple in the reserves. Zach Bench, who's looking quite lively in the reserves, giving himself every chance to come up to the seniors. Geordie Payne is playing as more of a defensive midfielder, so that makes it a lot tougher for him to try and get that opportunity. But then again, they put Cooper Harvey in the back line and then played him as a forward in the seniors. So it's a bit strange what they're doing there. No reserves this week. That's probably enough for that. For that game anyway. There wasn't. I mean, to sum it up, it just felt like a real pre-season game. A bit of a flat performance. Bit of a flat press conference after the game as well. So what can you do? We've got a message coming in at the moment. Jesse. Is it? Oh, Jesse Cardinal is coming. Where are you, Jesse? Cooper Harvey, the second coming of Wayne Carey? ? I don't know if he's a bit smaller than Wayne Carey, but look, he's looking all right. Might be the second coming of Brent Harvey, and might get 400 consecutive games out of him. So we'll see how we go. But he's looking pretty good. Your boy Will Dawson looking very good as well, Jesse. So you did. Okay. Hang on, I've got a couple of messages come through. This is great podcasting. Frank might want to come in now. So, sorry about this, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just going to see if these boys want to come in now and see if they want to, join the podcast. But or either that, or I might just get them on later in the week. But probably be easier because it's a bit tricky at the moment. So when you're live on air, so I'll try and get these boys on later in the week. So sorry about that, boys. Because I do have to leave soon. I did try and get the boys on a bit earlier, but it just made it a bit tough. Just made it a bit tough because those boys aren't usually free till around 7ish, and I've got commitments on around 7:30. So I thought I'd just do a quick solo podcast. Anyways, let's get back to this subject. Jacob Stancy, needs to work on a few things, but overall body of work looks pretty good. And like I sort of said, yeah, there wasn't much in that game. So, yeah, unfortunately, it might be a long 7 weeks because I don't know if the players are, I don't think they've checked out, but I don't think they're giving it their everything. And even Alistair Clarkson felt like it was a little bit flat. So, yeah, we'll move on. No reserves last week, like I mentioned. So we're going against the Swans this week. So a few players back. LDU looks like he'll be back from his concussion. Luke McDonald looks like he'll be back, so that will add more balance. So one of those key position defenders has got to come out. Nick Larkey should be back this week as well, so you probably have to think Finbar Malley comes out of that team, and George Wardlaw potentially now. Alistair Clarkson did mention in the press conference, yeah, he'll be fine for next week. I'm a bit sceptical on this one. I'm a bit nervous. I'm going to be very nervous watching George Wardlaw for the next few weeks, especially with the head knocks. I'm not too sure if they bring him straight into the seniors or in the reserves. He wasn't flying in the seniors, so we'll have to wait and see. And selection is going to be very interesting this week. There's a few players that look like they'll come in. A lot of talk about Bailey Scott and his game coming on as a sub. You'd have to think he would potentially come into the 22 this week. Robert Hansen, 50-50 is if he'll keep his spot in the team. Now, only 8 possessions on the weekend, 4 scoring environments. So every time he gets it, he shows a lot of class. And, he generally does some good things with the football. Problem is he's just not getting enough for a winger. He's playing up the field on the wing or playing in the forward 50. So that's something he's got to work on. He's just getting a bit more of the football because he is quite damaging by foot. So hopefully, I think we've seen that game. It was against Fremantle a few weeks ago where he had about 3 or 4 goal assists coming on as a sub. So hopefully, we can see him getting a bit more of football. I don't know if he stays in the team, especially if you get a few of those boys back. So hopefully we can make a good account of ourselves against the Swans. I will preview that later in the week. So, look out for that. I'll do that on Thursday. That's pretty much it from me. Just a quick summary of the game. I thought I'd better get a podcast out. I hate doing podcasts by myself, talking to myself. But it is a lot easier with someone. But sometimes you've got to do it and get a podcast out for all you lovely listeners. Like I said, that's it from me. I'll be back on Thursday to talk about, preview the game against the Swans. Don't forget, like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. I'll try and definitely get some guests on this week, later in the week, so I don't have to look like a fool doing this by myself. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, tell all your friends about it, and that's pretty much it from me. So bye for now, and go Roos.